Man, this is the longest game I've played in years.
Well, I also take way too much time trying to make sure I do both podcast and chess.
Well, if you review the results and you're like, hey, we weren't as flowy as we should have.
No.
Then we can always do it again later.
What I like about this episode over other ones that there's one thing tying everything together, and that's the chess game. Mm-hmm. It's like partially there's distraction, but also it's just authentic. Like, I don't regret putting the board. I just wish I could be a little bit better at asking questions.
That was a long game.
No.
Wrong side.
What?
Yeah. White A is to the left. Remember?
All right. Round two,
bro. I do not have the capacity. Like, there's no upside to playing you again. There's no upside to playing you again right now.
All right. Oh. You have more chocolate in me. Not like that.
I didn't say it. I wasn't going to give it to you. All right. Anyway. All right, what you got, brother?
How'd you meet Dave?
So this would have been in 2010. Both of us were stationed in this place called Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. Or maybe they started calling it Camp Lejeune again. I don't fucking know. By the way, I had been doing mixed martial arts Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai training for the better part of a year or so at that point. And at that point in time, Dave had been a professional kickboxer, Thai boxer, and had since retired, joined the Marine Corps. He was an infantryman, machine gunner, if I am recalling correctly, and I was a logistics officer, newly minted, and we both ended up stationed on the same base. So I'm not sure how familiar you are with military bases, generally speaking, but Camp Lejeune is like fucking huge, right? So there's places like you have the division, which is the infantry, that they're on one side of the base, so to speak. Then you have like the support battalions or the support regiments, support regiments that are on the other side. So I was one of the support regiments on the other side of the base. And one of the great things about being in the military is that you often get perks that people have to pay a lot for that you can get for free, right? So a gym membership you get for free, like medical care you don't get for free, but you pay a reduced rate. It comes out of your check. You don't even know that you're paying it really unless you're smart enough to really look into those things, etc. You get education benefits. So one of the things we had, it was called MWR, and I can't remember what the acronym means, but one of the benefits was we can go and we can train martial arts, and we can also have our family members train. So you had people who would show up, and I had gotten to my due station. I decided, all right, well, I've trained a little bit. I want to continue this on because I want to be a badass, and I don't want to be able to get my ass beat by a 140-pound guy anymore. So I went, and there was this Muay Thai coach by the name of David Porter.
Oh, no.
And I was like, all right. And he was a big dude. He was like 215 pounds. And he was stronger than I was. And at the time, I think I was still bench pressing. I think my max was somewhere around 385 or so at the time. He was stronger than me. And I was like, shit. And he could kick, boy. He could punch, but he could fucking kick, dude. He kicked hard as shit. And this thing was, he would leg kick the shit out of people. We had this thing he called he used to use a tank analogy. He'd be like, you have a mobility kill. And then I forgot the other part. He said mobility kill, and then like not catastrophic kill, but basically like when you an actual kill, right? So you kill the mobility, you take the tracks off the tank, and afterwards it's a sitting duck, and then you can like actually kill everyone, the occupants, if you will, right? So you teach an inside outside leg kick, and he used to fuck people up with it, and he did jiu-jitsu as well, and he hated jiu-jitsu, but he was good at it. He was a blue belt at the time, and he used to just rip kimuras on people, mainly me. Other people as well, but me. Dude probably called me a fucking 100 kimuras, man. Like, I swear, it's like if he did like this, it was fucking over. And he was so strong, and I was just like, I remember just trying to fight my way out of it. Yeah. Like, I shit you not, if he caught me in 100 kimuras, I think I got out of this many of them, right? So it's just like, man, fuck. And I used to triangle people for the hell of it as well. And then he also taught something called the impaler back in the day as well. And I think I remember when he first taught the Darce. I imagine it was when he first taught the Darce. It was actually something similar to Ghost Escape, or it may have been a Ghost Escape Darce. But he taught that in 2010, maybe 2011. I think it may have been 11 when he came back from deployment. But either way, he ended up deploying, because in the Marine Corps we all deployed, right? So he deployed and he came back, and then all of a sudden he had fallen in love with jiu-jitsu, got into purple belt and shit, started competing in jiu-jitsu competitions and did that. And then that became his thing.
What would you say Dave's character was at the time?
He's a fucking asshole. Nah, let me stop.
So before this, I was at XCal, and Dave that was like, I told him that I was going to interview you today, and then he was like, "Oh man, ask him about me back when we met." And
The Dave y'all know right now is a genuinely caring adult.
I know it's terrible.
Bro, Dave didn't give a fuck, man. It was bad. Like he wasn't, to be fair, he wasn't in a position where he should have given a fuck, right? So I'm not saying that as a pejorative, like he was a bad person. Like mid to late 20s, like he was in the Marine Corps. He was a fucking machine gunner. He was an infantryman. Like you don't give a fuck about people's safety, dude. Like you're over here. Your mission in life is to fucking kill people. Like, so you're unaliving people, and you want me to be concerned about your health when I kick you? Like, get the fuck out of here. You signed up for this shit. You're a grown ass man. I don't think we had any women in there. We had like 2. You're a grown ass man. You signed up for this shit. You're in the Marine Corps. Like, deal with it. And that was fuck people up. Wasn't nice, man. He was a good dude. Yeah, Dave's always been a good dude, but he didn't give a fuck. He gave a fuck. He's reckless as hell too, man. Like he tells you we used to do flying leg scissors on people, on each other all the time. Like we had this thing in the gym where it's like no one's safe, right? And it didn't matter, like any time. Like we could have been there for 2 minutes, we could have been there for 3 hours, we could be back in the sauna. And like back around the sauna. We didn't do it in the sauna, but right outside of the sauna, they had weights back there as well. It was crowded as fuck, like more crowded than this, whatever. Like we didn't give a fuck, dude. Like it was just no one's safe. Scissor takedown. It's just like shit. But we never got injured, ironically. So that was cool.
Yeah. Do you have any cool military stories?
Cool military stories?
Yeah. I don't want the trash ones. I want the cool ones.
Funny stories. I'm trying to see if I can tell this without saying names.
You can improvise.
Yeah. So I had this one Marine that probably he didn't sabotage my career or anything like that, but he got me in more trouble than I otherwise would have been in, right? Because he was mine. Just so we're gonna call him. He was a corporal at the time. We'll call him Corporal T, right? And I was Lieutenant J, and there's another character named Sergeant D.
Okay. What's the difference?
The ranks?
Yeah, like is it like 3 ranks difference or?
No, so I was a platoon commander at the time, so I'm the lower level managerial class, if you will, and he's call it lower to almost lower mid level enlisted, if you will, corporal. Yeah. So either way, I tell you 2 occasions about him, right? One of them was probably the funnier of the 2. I don't know which one was funnier. So we were deployed on a ship in the Mediterranean. We sailed across the Atlantic, and then we went to the Mediterranean, did training and everything off the coast of Northern Africa. And my commanding officer, or battalion commander rather, he was a lieutenant colonel, which is up there as far as military rank is concerned, at least comparatively speaking to a lieutenant and everyone else in the battalion. And at that point in time, then there was this trend going around the Marine Corps where people would take off the chevrons when they got them, or whoever was replacing the chevrons, and they would throw the old ones away because there are a lot of demotions that occur in the Marine Corps, right? So it was like, hey, me throwing this away is symbolizing that I'm never going to see this rank again, or you're never going to see this rank again, which hopefully not. For some reason, my CEO got mad at that. He was just like, hey, and he told us that morning. So we're on a ship. We had 2 meetings every fucking day while we were deployed. It was fucking every time. So in the meeting that morning, right, like before all the shit we were going to do that day training, right, then he told us, hey, we have promotion ceremonies today. I'm going to let you guys promote your own Marines, have your own individual ceremonies. But I've seen this from everywhere from E1 or from E2 to E7. And it's disrespectful to the rank. It's disrespectful to this. I don't want to see this anymore. So make sure it doesn't happen. Luis, roger that. Aye, sir. And I swear, I'm pretty sure I conveyed that messaging to my platoon, right? Like, I thought I did. Like, really thought I did. Apparently not. And this is, and for the record, as I'm telling the story, this is my fault, right? This is, I should have made sure it didn't happen. CEO said, don't let this happen. I should have made sure it didn't happen, right? So we're on a ship, and there's several levels to the ship, but the highest level, at least on the ship that I was on, was called the O3 level. And it gives you the most beautiful view, right? Because you can go around, and if you can pan around, you can see the sea or the ocean all the way around you, right? So it's absolutely fucking gorgeous. It was a sunny day. It was fucking great, man. And I had two Marines getting promoted. One would have been Lance Corporal, or he's getting promoted from Lance Corporal to Corporal. We'll call him soon to be Corporal O. And the other one was making Lance Corporal for the second time, right?
Got demoted and then going.
Yes, yes. Got promoted for the second time to Lance Corporal, and we'll call him Lance Corporal B, right? And then I mentioned Corporal T, right? So you can pick who you want to pin on your rank in the ceremony. So long story short, I'm getting up there. My platoon sergeant standing to the right or left, I can't fucking remember. He reads the promotion warrant. I'm standing at the position of attention. I'm proud. Like, the sun's in my eyes, not my platoon's eyes, because that's how you're supposed to do it. And then out of my periphery, I see my CO came up to join the ceremony. I don't pay any attention, doing my thing, whatever the case may be. My two Marines come up, like, morning, sir, they salute. I salute back. And we're pinning them. So the first one, who you want to pin you, they say who they wanted to promote them or pin their chevrons on. They do it, they salute, they walk off. I ask the other one, who would you like to promote you? Corporal T and Corporal R, sir. Roger, fuck that, right? They come up, they salute. Good morning, sir. Good morning, good afternoon, whatever it was. Salute. And I have this speech prepared of how great they've done and how proud I am of Lance Corporal B for making it the second time and not fucking up and whatever. And as they are finishing up, then I see Corporal T grab the chevron, right? And he cocks back, and I'm at the position of attention, right? So, like, you know what time dilation is, right?
Yeah, your perception of time.
Yeah, it slows. It slows. Like, in actuality, I think more scientifically, it's like your brain starts to process really, really quickly.
Based off like in combat situations.
Yeah. And that shit is actually real. It's not as dramatic as it is in the movies, right? But there's an element of it that does happen, right? So time dilation occurred in that moment, right? Like, he started to pull back, and in my head, I'm like, no, oh my God. Like, he launches the chevron into the Mediterranean Sea. I'm like, fuck. Oh my God. So I had a speech prepared, right? I'm just like, I'm giving the command, congratulate the Marines that are promoted, fall out or dismissed or whatever the fuck I say, right? So they go, and my platoon sergeant gathers them around and fucking starts berating the other one. But I look to my right, and my battalion commander is like, fuck, right? So at least with him in the officer corps, whenever he was pleased with me, then he called me by my first name, right? So it'd be like J, right? When he was displeased, it was Lieutenant J, right? Like my last name. It's like, Lieutenant J, and I fucking tell you to just do this. And I'm just like, yes, sir. You did. No risk. Like, you fucking, oh my gosh. It was right. So yeah, I got in trouble for that one. That's a funny story or whatever. So after he got done yelling at me, then he left, and I walked over to my Marines, and I was known for being aggressive, right? Like, I didn't hate. I may have hated my Marines one time. I can talk about it on camera. Wasn't too bad. But there's one time when I did some shit that, like, had the wrong person been there, and I'll tell you what it is, so that way nobody thinks it's some type of stupid ass conspiracy. But I used to sit there and, like, threaten them. I'd say shit like, I'm gonna fucking drown you, or I'm gonna kick you in your fucking chest, or I'm gonna choke the shit out of you, whatever the case may be, right? And I had and at that point in time, I had been doing martial arts for a little bit, so I was a better fighter than a lot of people. And my platoon sergeant was a Marine Corps martial arts instructor, so he could organize grappling matches. So I really would choke the shit out of my Marines, right? It was funny, but I walked up, and, like, they're, like, in a school circle, and Turner's on one knee, and I fucking look at him, and he knows I'm upset, and he got the other chevron, and, like, I looked at him. He was like, sir, I'm sorry, please don't kick me in my fucking chest. And he had taken the other chevron, and he had stuck it into his thumb. Oh, and I just melted. I was like, it's like, fucking go downstairs, man. Like, fucking, like, so that was it, right? So that was one time. And then the other time was probably worse career wise. Like, although my CEO never really addressed it, but so we were doing an operation where we were finishing up a field op, and I think we were in Spain. And like I had the motor transport platoon, so they had to load all the shit up on my trucks, and we had to make different, like, we'll call them not sorties, but trips down into the beach. It was like maybe a mile or two in between like the area where we were like camping and operating out of and the beach. So the landing support platoon commander, then she stopped my trucks from being able to come back and forth. And we didn't actually get along that well at that point in time. So I thought she was fucking with me or fucking with my Marines in order to fuck with me. So I got mad and I couldn't get her on the radio. So I asked my Marines, like, what the fuck's going on down there? Like, why aren't y'all back? Because we have shit to do. Like, we're supposed to embark by this time. And I'm not getting information. So I hop in the truck with my platoon sergeant. I'm like, dang, fucking let's go. We're going down there, right? Yeah. So I have piston vinegar and I roll up. And as I roll up, I realize that the entire battalion landing team is doing a ship to shore, like, operation, right? So they're training and simulating an amphibious assault, which means nothing on the beach needs to move, which makes perfect fucking sense. So I get it immediately. And I'm like, oh, shut the fuck up, right? So as I get it and I roll up and I park, and we have not only my battalion commander, who's a lieutenant colonel, another battalion commander, who's the infantry, but the lieutenant colonel, and then a major who's the infantry executive officer, right? So 3 people who severely fucking outrank me at this time. At this time, I'm still second lieutenant, right? So I get out and I walk up to Corporal T, and he's like, in a loud voice, he's like, he's like, thank effing God. Like, Lieutenant J, Sergeant D, I'm so glad you're here. You're the smartest fucking people on this beach. And all 3 field grade officers look at, not him, but me. I'm like, oh, fuck it. I was like, fucking I'm talking about platoon sergeant. I'm like, get him. Fuck, I can't get a good snap right now, but I was like, fucking get him right now. Right? So like, and then I just look, I salute. Apologies, gentlemen. I was like, fuck. What the fuck is wrong with you, bro? So yeah, man, it was fun. It was funny. Those situations were. So those probably got me. Yeah, because your people are a reflection of you, and when they do some fucked up shit, then you're like, yeah. And then on top of that, then there's also, so I mentioned the hazing incident, right? So prior to deploying, there's something called ISO preps that you do, which is basically you go in, and I forget if it's I don't think it's a bracelet. It's some shit where they put like information, like for emergencies, medical information, I think, like not next to kin shit, but something basically if you die with like whoever it is,
like a dog tag.
No, you have dog tags. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's some shit to, like, something bad happens to you, right? Like, this is in case of that, right? And don't quote me. Look at fucking Chat GPT, that shit or something. Either way, we're doing ISO preps, but only one, like, so many people can come in at a time, right? So I bring my entire platoon over there. I'll say it's like three squads of, I forget how many people I had. I think my platoon was like 32 or 33. Excuse me. But either way, one out of my 3 squads is in there. I'm there in front of this formation, and my platoon sergeant was actually in there as well with the first squad. So my Marines are being young Marines. They're standing in formation, but they're at rest, doing whatever the fuck they want. And I'm standing there, and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I think I was playing on my phone. No, I wasn't playing. I don't remember, because my phone wasn't a smartphone back then. I don't know what the fuck I was doing. But either way, they're throwing rocks at each other, right? So me understanding how young Marines are, I'm like, hey, gents, have fun. I'm telling you right now, don't let a rock come anywhere near me, right? And maybe I shouldn't have said that, right? But they should have. No, I'm their officer. Like, I'm like, yeah. Fucking 30 seconds to a minute later, pebble or rock skips right past me. Good to go. I'm like, all right, so you know the utility uniform, like camis, like whatever. So we have on boots, we have on like blouses and shit like that. I'm like, all right, boots and utes, right? So that's when we do like, think of a Tough Mudder run or some shit like that. Like, you can just take off your blouse and your top, and then you have, your blouse and your cover, and then you can go for a run with those. So you're running in boots. It's harder than running in tennis shoes, if that makes sense, right? So I'm like, all right, D blouse. And and I was like, and then get column of twos, right? So column of twos is basically forming up for a run. And then it's so fucking hilarious because as soon as I said that, then one of my Marines went and punched another one in the stomach hard as fuck. So I knew who threw the rock, right? So he doubled over. And I just smirked a little bit and I went to the front. And I was in really fucking great running shape then, right? Like fucking I was running like a 17:45 3-mile, right? Like so fucking murdered them for like 2 miles. Like I just took off. And they just had to keep up. Like, a couple of them threw up. Like we didn't like and we made it back, and then I pulled some bullshit of like, hey, like if y'all were wondering, we had white space and we decided to peachy. Good to go. Like, roger that, sir. So technically that was hazing.
Oh, that was technically
that was hazing. Yeah.
It doesn't sound like it would be hazing. It sounds like a disciplinary action.
Yeah, it was disciplinary, but it was physical discipline due to an infraction, which is against the Uniform Code of Military Justice outside of boot camp. So it was hazing.
Oh, interesting.
That's the only time I did it.
Okay.
And it was quite some time ago.
Well,
so I don't think statute of limitations, I'm pretty sure.
And you get to review the footage before it gets published.
Man, I don't give a fuck about that. But I'm just saying, it was funny as shit though. When they punched him in the stomach, I was like, yeah.
I'm thinking like hazing, like the bad kind of hazing where like someone's like physically in danger.
No.
This sounds like more of just like a run. It was just like,
it was a run. It was a very fast run.
Yeah. Okay, very fast. Okay.
Like I was faster than everybody. So there was one Marine in my platoon that was faster than me. So yeah, one. Yeah.
Was there anything you wanted to talk about?
No, man. I think I'm
cool. Is there anything on here that you would want to go back to that maybe you touched on, but you'd want to go more in depth on?
No, I'm of the impression that we're going to need one without a chest set. I think we're going to have to.
I saw a chest set and I was like, I want to play.
Yeah.
And now I regret it because now I don't have one on you. And now I'm in a deficiency. So now
I like it.
Now, yeah, I know you like it, of course.
We covered accountability over excuses, courtesy over dominance. Didn't really talk about that too much, but I think that's kind of self-explanatory, right? Mm-hmm. When you talk about, I think courtesy over dominance is more so who do you want to be, right? Be the type of person that you want to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that also comes with growth. Like when you're younger, then you're trying to make it in the world and you find yourself trying to enforce your will upon others in order to make life more of what you want it to be. Mm-hmm. And then you get to a point where you have a certain amount of competence and you're skilled and you understand how to navigate and you're like, okay, well, like I can be nice to people or I don't have to put on this persona. And maybe that's more what it is, like to the point of not having anything to prove. Like when I was younger, I would walk around and I would be ready to fight at the drop of a dime or like, have a chip on my shoulders. Like I am this guy. Like I believe I'm this guy. So therefore I have to prove that I'm this guy. Mm-hmm. Whereas now, to prove shit, I don't have anything to prove. Like
there's no one to prove it to.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, was that more of, is that possibly that because of your childhood that you wanted to get back the self-esteem that you didn't have?
I don't think I thought about it from the standpoint of childhood. I always fought when bullies fucked with me, so I think it was more so just coming from a situation where I had to fight all the time, and now being in a situation, and then that transferred over into a situation where I was expecting to fight, so I look for excuses to, or look for reasons to, and then now I'm to the point where I look for reasons not to, if that makes sense. And to be frank, very rarely do I find myself in a situation where someone decides I'm the one they want to start a fight with, fortunately enough. So, yeah. Discipline over motivation. I think there's people can talk about that a lot more in depth than I can, but generally speaking, motivation comes and goes, right? And motivation can change. Yeah. So it's about discipline. Like one of the things I am good at is saying, fuck how I feel. In most circumstances, specifically when it comes to things physically. Doesn't matter if I don't feel like working out today. Like if like there's a fine line. There are some times when it's just like you're injured, and if you do this, you're gonna fuck yourself up worse. So don't, right? But generally speaking, it's more so like fuck how you feel, do this or do something else. But you're going to do something that sucks. You're going to do something to make yourself uncomfortable, and you're going to persevere because that's just what you do, and your feelings don't have anything to do with it. So.
Do you have a separation between feelings and emotions? Or are they synonyms for you?
Yeah, feelings and emotions. So, for instance, I have no emotion to working out. Like, I have no emotion tied to, like, okay, tomorrow morning I'm going to wake up and I'm going to jog 2 or 3 miles, right? Like, I'm not going to feel like it, but it's not going to have shit to do with my emotions, if you will. It's just going to be like, I'm tired, or, it's cold outside. Those aren't emotions. So, in that sense, yeah, they're not conflated.
So your feelings are what would get you back to your comfort level, and your emotions are...
I say emotions are a lot more difficult to combat than feelings are, for me, at least, right? Like a feeling, I can make myself I can say fuck a feeling, right? And I can just persevere. You can persevere despite an emotion as well, right? But I can say fuck a feeling, like it doesn't matter what I feel, and be good. It's much more difficult for me to be like, I'm hurt right now emotionally. Fuck it. It doesn't matter if I am emotional. Get over it, right? Like it's not as easy.
That makes sense.
And you say journey over reward, that's the delayed gratification versus instant. Or no, journey, like, yeah, that's interesting. So I would say, like, with journey, when you look at, I am of the mindset now that there are very few things in life where I am super concerned with the end destination, because the end destination comes and it goes. And once you reach a destination or once you reach a goal, then there's just another one, right? And there will always be another one. And I believe I mentioned before that I wished away my 20s. Or when I say wished away my 20s, I mean I spent my 20s not being able to wait until the next rank, the next duty station, the next this, the next milestone that I accomplished. And it's just like, all right, what do I do next? What do I do next? What do I do next? And you find yourself, if you're always looking towards the future, then you don't get to enjoy the present as much as you should. And I think that's where I got into the enjoying the journey portion of it, where it's just like, all right, yeah, I want to get to a certain place. I want to achieve these goals, but I want to enjoy myself along the way. So I think that's how I got there.
Yeah, what's the difference between being present, but also not being complacent?
You can be both present and complacent. I think that not merely being present and still moving towards something is I'm still taking the steps in order to ensure a future, right? So for instance, career-wise, one of the approaches that I've had for a long time is that I don't concern myself much with what's the next position I'm going to move in, when's the next promotion, right? When am I going to get this title? I believe that if I do a good job and if I am intentional about making sure that I am prepared and I've checked all the boxes via education, training, etc., my reputation, then when the right opportunity presents itself, then I'll be ready to step through that door. So it allows me to be present in the sense of let me focus on what I'm doing right now and let me not stress about the future in that regard. But I'm not complacent because it's not as though I'm sitting here doing nothing to prepare, right?
So you replace complacency with preparation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you distinguish preparation and also giving yourself enough time to take breaks so you don't get burnout?
It depends on understanding what works for you and what you need and how you operate. So take, for instance, like my workout routine. Today was an active rest day. I biked, right? And it's like just understanding this is what works for me. There may be maybe 2 weeks from now, maybe I need to sit my happy ass down and do absolutely nothing. And it's just understanding like, all right, well, this is when I need to take a break because I'm experiencing this amount of fatigue or this amount of burnout or whatever the case may be.
Okay. Do you lean into burnout or do you try to regulate it?
You said, do I what?
Do you lean into burnout? Like whenever I'm working, like sometimes I'll just keep going into burnout. I'll just I'm so close to it.
No, I don't believe in going into the point of diminishing returns. Okay. Specifically not with anything mentally. Physically, maybe I experience burnout more so, but that's usually because of I need to teach or I need to whatever the case may be. Or I've been injured and it's not healing quickly enough. So fuck it, I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to keep on whatever. And that may lead to it. So maybe some physically, but less mentally. Yeah. If I can control it at least. Like there are some times where like there could be something where it's just like mentally I'm going to get burnt out because I can't stop it.
Are you tired?
Yeah, I actually am.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
Well, it's 3 hours now?
Shit. 2 hours and 44 minutes. 2 hours and 10 minutes of them were me
demolishing me.
No. I didn't demolish you. Like, I fucking, like, bro, it was too.
So what I'm probably going to do is I'll make this part the beginning, and then I'll put the first part afterwards.
The first part afterwards?
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine.
So,
and we can do another one, just not with chess.
We could do like a workout vlog or something.
Sure.
But that's going to take up more time.
So, yeah.
With already me.
Yeah.
My abs. Oh, no, I can't do anymore.
Yeah, we can do those. That's fine. From the podcast standpoint. Like, I realized that I spent the majority of the time multitasking and
that's fine.
And
well,
trying to figure
I'm
out.
used to it. So, like,
trying to figure out what type of nefarious activity you were up to.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck that shit.
This is actually a nice set.
Oh, thank you, sir.
All right. So I have 2 questions I ask everyone at the very end, which this would be in the very beginning of the podcast. What would you, well, I've already asked you this, but if you want to go back to it, what would you have told yourself, in this case, 20 years ago, and what would you want to tell yourself 10 years from now?
So 20 years ago,
again, with the understanding that you can't change what happened, the butterfly effect and everything you mentioned earlier, which will be later, but
the only way you really fail is if you stop. The only way you really fail is if you stop. And it's still advice that I still have to tell myself these days when I run into hard times. So quick story. I remember I was going through a very bad breakup. I was getting ready to exit the Marine Corps. Like, life was going to change a lot. And it was really tough mentally and emotionally. And at the time I was fighting. So I had to control my weight, right? And my stupid ass would go to Buffalo Wild Wings and eat 24 wings on a UFC fight, right? And my rule was, for every 4 wings I ate before I went to sleep, I had to jog a mile for each 4 wings, right? So I get home at like 1:32 a.m. in the morning, and my stupid ass would go jogging 6 miles. Yeah. And also I was extreme. I put on like a sauna suit sometimes and like whatever, right? So I lived on the beach at the time, and to the pier and back is a 6-mile jog, right? So I ran out to the pier, but when I got to the pier, I felt okay. So I felt good, actually. So I just kept going. I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna do an extra 2 miles. So I went another mile out, and I'm coming back, and I'm at like maybe the 4.5 mile mark, right? So I'm almost back to the pier, and my body just crashes, and I'm like, fuck. And like, when I say I was so tired. So my options were get naked, basically run back in my boxers. I probably should have done that, if I'm being honest, right? But I didn't. Go try and hail some vehicle down at like 4 o'clock in the morning on this like strip of like 6, I think it's like, I don't know if it's 6 miles. It may have been 6 miles, a 6-mile strip where it's like a beach, like little out, so there's no vehicles, right? It's pre-Uber. So
forgot you were ancient.
Yeah. So, and I remember thinking like, fuck, I can't make it. Like, I'm not gonna make it. And I kind of felt that way emotionally as well, right? And I remember thinking to myself, all right, well, stop focusing on getting there. Take the next step. Like, just take the next step. Like, fuck everything except for the next step, and the next step, and the next step, and the next step. And what I found is, eventually, like, if you just keep on taking the next step, then eventually you will get somewhere. But if I focus on 3.5 miles away right now, I'm not gonna fucking make it. So I thought that was like a metaphor for life at that point for me, where it's just like, all right, well, like, the only way I don't make it, or unless I quit, I will make it, if that makes sense, right? So just take the next step. Don't focus on the end destination or everything I have to overcome. Just focus on what the next step needs to be. And then 10 years from now, bro, I have no idea what I tell myself 10 years from now. I'll be like, I hope you still got it. That's it. Whatever it is, physically, yeah. Yeah. I have no idea what I would tell myself in 10 years.
Anything else?
No, man.
Sweet.
That's it.
Appreciate it.
Good shit.
Oh boy. This is going to be a weird one to edit.
I'm just glad I won. That's all I need to about.
It's the only thing that matters.
All right. So now that you've been appropriately wowed.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm
definitely a wow.
I am somewhat of a minimalist in the sense of I wouldn't say I'm a minimalist. I would say that I don't really engage in things that don't matter to me.
Yeah,
so
practicalist.
so the decor of a household, so to speak, at some point I plan on having a life partner. And I'll let her do all the, decoration and the color schemes and whatever she wants to do. For me, I have my board games, I have my cologne or fragrance collection downstairs, and I have my anime stuff that's there, and that's basically it. So
Yeah, I was not expecting the clone collection, kind of understandable, but then like everything else, it's just like there's a lot more.
yeah, it's like I guess it's my room of expression, if you will. And I don't think I intended it to be that way. I think it's just more so like I enjoy traveling, so I have things from mementos or whatever, usually like statuettes or something from every place that I've been to. And then otherwise, I don't know, just stuff that I think is fun. I have my little travel map. My brother got that for me a couple years back. And then I have my my Mongols and my Prajits up there for Thai boxing. This is nice Thai paint picture that was framed, and then a little bit of stuff from the Marine Corps as well. So that's my man cave.
So you said that you're more emotional than logical, or more logical than emotional.
In certain circumstances and up until a certain point.
And well, you said that you're logical until you have extreme emotional investment.
Mm-hmm. And then I become illogical as fuck, to be perfectly honest with you, which is it's ridiculous. Not to, like, when I was younger, it was worse, right? So there's a point that I will not go beyond no matter what at this stage of my life. But prior to, I don't even want to give you a number, just say earlier in my life, then yeah, that wasn't necessarily the case. Yeah, so mastering emotion has been a journey.
Yeah. So how would you define emotional investment?
I think emotional, when you say investment, do you mean just the way that you feel? Define how you feel about somebody, or define how you develop something with somebody emotionally? What do you mean? Or which one?
It could be within relationships. At what point do you say this is an investment versus this is just something that I desire? Because everyone desires the Ferraris. Everyone desires the finer things in life. But then there's also, you need the investment beforehand to be able to obtain those things.
So I think it depends on intention. If I'm being perfectly honest, I don't think it's a matter of time, at least in the context of dating. So for me, for the record, at this point in my life, I'm not really into casually dating. But let's say that I were casually dating and I just wanted somebody to spend time with, or to have companionship or some type of physical intimacy, whatever the case may be. Then at that point in time, me spending time with that particular partner or potential partner would not be considered to be an investment, if that makes sense. It's just companionship. It's whatever it is for the time being. And it's the understanding, or going into it with understanding, or the mindset that this isn't going to go beyond a certain point. And then I would say that for me, the intention of, okay, I'm open to the possibility, or I've seen certain characteristics that I desire, and I'm more prone to take this more seriously than not, then at that point in time, then it can be the first time I'm spending any time with that person. But in my mind, it's still an investment, because it's something that I plan to, not necessarily plan, something I would like to continue on beyond a certain point, if that makes sense. So it really is just intention based for me. Now, with that being said, I have gone into a circumstance before where I thought, yeah, I'm just spending time. I'm not investing emotionally. And the next thing you know, I'm in love and it doesn't work out. Just like I knew it wasn't going to work out. And I'm heartbroken and I'm upset at myself because I should have known better, but I didn't know better. Or I did know better, I didn't do better. And there you have it, heartbreak. So not always as easy as it sounds.
Why were you in that kind of relationship? Was it just something you were missing that?
No, I was post a very serious relationship. I had broken up, and I told myself and my partner at the time, my, whatever you want to call it, significant other, person who became significant, but I didn't intend on her becoming significant, if you will, that I wasn't in a place where I was emotionally available. So we both agreed that was going to be the dynamic of our relationship. And lo and behold.
How would you define emotional availability?
I think it is the openness coupled with the ability to receive and give love, if that makes sense.
What kind of love? Talk about, because there's like the intimate love, romantic love,
whatever love is for the dynamic of the relationship. So I think that no, I think that there are definitely different types of relationships. You're familiar with the 5 love languages?
No.
You're not?
No.
Oh, okay.
Educate me.
Maybe I'm dating myself. So back in my day when I was younger, it used to be all the rage. We used to talk about the different love languages. There was this book, I can't recall who the author was, but he posited that human beings have 5 basic ways in which they receive and like to, not necessarily like to, but naturally desire to be loved, or for ways that they can express love. And the 5 are in no particular order: quality time, physical touch, acts of service, gift giving, and words of affirmation. So I think a lot of people who are aware of it, then they describe that in the context of a romantic relationship. But I think that that's actually pretty applicable in relationships, period, not just romantic relationships. So for instance, if you look at a family member or a sibling, like you may play. Do you have siblings?
I have a sister.
A sister?
Yeah. Older. 5 years.
Does she, are you guys physical with one another? Does she beat you up, or did she beat you up and all that other stuff?
Never
Didn't really touch each other.
It never
Okay.
really happened that way.
Okay.
But just like my sister just adored me, and I was just like, yeah.
Okay, great. So she made you feel good. All right. So I'll use myself for example. Like I have a bunch of younger cousins who might as well be siblings. I have a brother and I have a sister. In our family, then there are different dynamics with different people. But one of the things that's pretty prominent is like we're all always beating each other up, pushing each other, tickling one another, doing something, right? Like I have a cousin, maybe this may have been, this is a while ago, like 15 years ago at this point. But I came from out of town. She came home from school. I was sitting on the couch. I said hey to her. She slapped me on the back of my head. I was like, hey, and walked upstairs. And she slapped me hard as shit too.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just sat there and I took it. I'm like, I internalized. I'm gonna fuck her up for that later. It's cool for right now, right? So I state that to say that in that relationship, because that's what it is, not a romantic one, obviously, but physical touch is one of our languages, if you don't want to call it a love language. So call it a human language. And then you have some people where it's just like quality time or words of affirmation or whatever the case may be. If you think about our hobbies, jiu-jitsu, right? Like we're touching each other a lot, right? Like chances are, people who don't like being touched are not saying it doesn't happen, right? But generally speaking, people who have a problem being touched are not going to really get too deep into that sport.
Yeah. Dave was doing a hand-to-hand combat. It was part of like a bigger course, but he allowed some of the jiu-jitsu guys to go and just take the class for free. And one of the other guys in jiu-jitsu mentioned that the people he was with and helping out, because obviously we know the way to hold ourselves in, I'm not the best with knives and anything, but he noticed how everyone else wasn't very comfortable being touched, being like very in close proximity with other people. So that's definitely
we're just there. Like you literally had your chin on my neck trying to separate me from consciousness. And I'm just like smiling and making jokes. And so it's a different level of comfort, right? And I'm not saying that like in an absolute statement. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who don't like physical contact that much in intimate relationships or relationships generally, but they're able to disassociate that with jiu-jitsu. So I think generally speaking, you have friends and family that you spend time with, you talk, that's how you maintain a relationship. You may be physical, you may just spend time together, whatever the case may be. But I think that those extend beyond just love languages. So I can't necessarily remember your original question, but I will say that I believe, or at least I believe when I started talking about it, that it does harken back to the fact that there are different ways that people express themselves and like to receive.
So you said quality time, words of affirmation, physical touch. What was the other two?
Acts of service and gift giving.
That's interesting, because those, I heard somewhere that there's two types of people. There's those who like getting things, and others who like experiences. So like the ones who like getting gifts, like they will they'll react more positively than like getting a shared experience or something like that. So
yeah, and an experience can be considered a gift, right?
So one of the things that you mentioned was the commitment that you kind of hold yourself to, but how, and this was interesting, you have a different type of commitment to yourself and you have a different type of commitment with other people.
Not commitment, a different type of standard for myself and other people, right? So the easiest way to put it would be physical standards. Like I work out a lot and my standard for myself is I must maintain a certain level of fitness and a certain shape and a certain ability to do things my entire life. As a matter of fact, I was just talking to one of my close family members, and I reminded her that if I'm ever in any type of an incident where I'm unable to physically do for myself, then do not resuscitate me. Let me go. Like if you bring me back, I'm gonna find out who's responsible. I'm gonna Morse code blank the shit out of you. Right? Like it's just like don't like I it's part of my identity. Like I'm an active person who can't be sedentary, and beyond not being able to be sedentary, then it's me.
Yeah, why is that?
That's a good question. I think if I were to think, I would imagine it probably has something to do with my childhood. I was not tall, and my skin complexion, as much as you're disparaging about yours, just bullshit. You need to stop. But it was similar for me when I was growing up. So as I grew up in the Atlanta area, and more specifically when I was in New Orleans, then being dark skinned was not it. Like
Were you in a predominantly white community?
No. It was some of it was
mixed.
A little bit mixed, mostly Black and Latino. But no, it just wasn't it. Like it was always about the light skinned guys. So it was like Genuine, Cisco, whoever else. This was before Chris Brown came out. And I'm not mad at any of these guys for the record, right? But we just weren't in. So I think between that and me being growing to the maximum height of 5'7", then yeah, you just get to a point where it's like, all right, well, I'm not what's in, so to speak. And because I knew I wasn't naturally going to be what was in, then I was fortunate enough to start lifting and to become more athletic. And then I kind of built myself into a person that was more attractive, if you will. And then, so I think attraction was probably foremost in my desires, but also I would couple it with formidability, right? And so over the course of my adult life, if you will, then I become extremely formidable for most people, not Dave, but for most people. and then like the attraction, I mean, it's very subjective, right? But not doing too poorly in most cases. So it's just become a part of who I am and what my identity is for myself, right? It's not even about anybody else at this point. And it just is like, I don't give myself a choice anymore. So being in shape is not an option. It's what I do. So I get up, I work out, and
What got you started in going to the gym? Because I know you said you started going when you were like 13.
Mm-hmm.
What got you started? What was that like, that pushing point?
I think it was because I wanted to play football in my freshman year. I did. So I believe it was me just thinking, all right, I'm going to play ball this coming up in the summer, fall, whatever it was. And yeah, let me start lifting.
Yeah. Why did you want to do football?
I played when I was in 5th grade. I played 1 year. One of my uncles actually introduced me to it.
Mm-hmm. Was this the Marine uncle?
No, this was a different uncle. Yeah. And I enjoyed it a lot. I wasn't good at it, but I enjoyed it.
Did football give you like a sense of community?
Yes.
Outside of what you were doing?
I think football stopped me from joining the gang, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many gangs were there? And
the big ones in my area would have been, I forget what type of blood it was. It was some type of blood. It was the Gangster Disciples, and then they had the folks who I don't know if they had many Crips. And they had some Latin gang that I never really paid attention to. And I think they had some Asian thing too. Like I never really paid too much attention to whatever they were. But yeah, so they were
there like gang boundaries and there's a lot of like
not like boundaries per se. It was more so like if you get caught in there, and I'm pretty sure there were certain places where people didn't go, but I didn't have a car, right? So I was walking everywhere or riding my bike, so I didn't stray too far away from my neighborhood, so to speak. But I don't think so.
What kind of household did you grow up in?
It varied. So I grew up in a 2-parent household from 1 to, called it 7 or 8, so to speak. However, my dad was out doing what he did at that point in time. So he was there, but he was there. He was a father. And then they split when I want to say I was 8. And then shortly thereafterwards, maybe a year or so later, my grades suffered dramatically, and I ended up going to Atlanta to live with my infamous uncle that I've spoken about and my aunt. And I lived with them for 2 years, and my mom ended up coming up to Atlanta. Then we moved to an apartment. No, we moved to live with another uncle and aunt for a year. That didn't work out so well. Then my mother got an apartment with my brother, my sister, and I, and we lived there for a year or two by ourselves. Then my mother and father remarried one another. Then we still lived in that house or that apartment. Then we got into a small house that we rented in the area, and I graduated from there and went to the Marine Corps.
That was 2002.
Yes.
How much of a difference was it between your parents and your uncle and aunt?
You mean as far as the dynamic of their relationship?
Dynamic of relationship, as well as the way that they thought, the difference in thinking of how they treated the world and how they treated you.
It's not easy to make that comparison. They're completely different people with completely different worldviews, if that makes sense. So my uncle was in the Marine Corps. Both my dad and my uncle grew up in, we'll call them locations that weren't the best. So my dad born and raised in New Orleans, and my uncle born and raised in Atlanta, right? So, but we're talking about inner city for both of them. So neither one of them grew up in a safe household that was conducive to the success of black men specifically, right? But one of them did join the Marines, right? Which is a stark contrast from, we'll say, the decisions that my dad made as he was coming up, right? And yeah, so I think that shaped a lot because my uncle had a level of exposure that my dad didn't. As far as my mother and my aunt, so my aunt is my mother's baby sister. She's the youngest of 5. And I think I'll say she probably had not necessarily different priorities, but just a different way of going about achieving what she desired, if that makes sense. Like where my mother was more, how do I say this without sounding disparaging? Where my mother was more, we'll call it assertive and just forthcoming and demanding. My aunt
But
was
not
more,
in a positive way.
from my perspective, I wouldn't necessarily think that it was super positive. But I would say that where my mother would have more of that way of expressing herself, desires, needs, wants, expectations, then my aunt, I would say, was more diplomatic and, dare I say, charismatic. And you could also say more strategic in getting what she desired. So it's kind of one of those, it's interesting, but that's how I would describe it in retrospect.
Is there any like lessons that you learned from either your mother or your aunt that kind of stuck with you throughout the
I
years?
could be cliche and say you catch more bees with honey than sugar. But also I think, in speaking from my own personal experience in my relationship with my aunt, then learning to respect the agency of those around you is extremely valuable, as opposed to feeling and maybe even being the person that knows best, right? Like you can feel like you know best and still you should still possess the ability to take a step back and allow them to go through life as they will, right? And that's one of the difficult things about being, is it your turn or mine?
It's my turn.
Okay, so that's one of the difficult things about being older, having experienced things. Like when you watch younger generations, then they will make really stupid decisions sometimes. And it's really difficult to sit back and and to bite your tongue and not give unsolicited advice. And if you do give advice, even if they ask you for it, not to be overbearing and too tethered to the result of, hey, are they going to follow your advice or not? Right. And that's so difficult. But yeah, so I'll tell you a quick story about that. I'll use myself and my younger brother, because I did this to my uncle as well. But so my brother's 3.5 years younger, and I recruited him into the Marine Corps, basically. So my mom was pissed about. She was so fucking mad. But I had been in long enough to see a whole bunch of people get in trouble, and I knew my brother was fucking crazy. So I was just like, all right, well, I know that you're going to drink, although you're not old enough to. I know that you're going to fight people. I know that you're going to do all the crazy shit that you're going to do, because that's who he was. It's like, so put these parameters in place in order to make sure that you don't destroy your career while you do all these things that you're not supposed to do, but you're going to do anyway, right? So I take a list of maybe 10 things. Fucking listen to none of them, right? I'm just like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? Like, so we sit here talking. He was stationed in California. I think I was in North Carolina at the time. And we would just, we talk, and I find myself getting disappointed based off of the risk that he took. And I'm not gonna tell you everything he did, because I don't want my brother's reputation to be smeared. I'm like, bro, you're fucking crazy. And I remember we went down to New Orleans to visit our dad one day, and we were at a card table. I have 2 cousins on my dad's side, and one of them's around 10 months younger than me, and the other is somewhere to the extent of, I don't know, maybe a year older than my brother. So we're all pretty close in age, if that makes sense. And the younger one, then he ended up we were all drinking, so he ended up having, we'll say, a less than ideal circumstance on the table. He basically vomited all over the table. And we're laughing at him. My dad's there, his mom's there, one of my other uncles is there, another aunt is there. And we're just laughing. And I was making so much fun of him. And then my brother, who drank quite a bit at that point in time, was trying to console him, encourage him, and doing all the stuff. So I called him fucking Dr. Phil. And next thing you know, my brother is like, he said something to the extent of he'll beat my ass. And I don't pay him any attention because we're just drinking, whatever. But after around the 5th or 6th time he said, I'm like, oh, he means this shit, right? So we get closer and closer. And he's more upset than I am. Like, I'm just thinking he's talking shit. I'm a grown ass man. He's threatening to beat my ass. There's only going to be so many ass whoopings that get threatened here. And then afterwards, he said something in the middle of the altercation where he's like, yeah, he's trying to do this like father figure shit. And at that point it clicked. I was like, oh, like not that he cares. He is fatigued with the fact that he thinks that I am being overbearing towards him, because I'm always telling him what he should and shouldn't be doing. So he has now turned that into something that he resents me for. And now we're drinking. So my brother wants to beat my ass.
Was that in a way that the perception of you being overbearing was like a power struggle?
I don't know if it was a power struggle. I think it's just repressed anger. Repressed anger, probably. And we fought a lot growing up, not physically. He would hit me. I wouldn't hit him back. I would push him and throw him somewhere. I never really was big on hitting people who were smaller than me. But we still got into a lot of conflicts. And I, it was rough. So, but I say all that say we're all good now. It was fine. We didn't fight, thankfully. But it helped me realize that I could not continue on basically directing him on what he should and shouldn't be doing. It's just like, okay, at this point I have to realize he's an adult. He has agency. Whatever he does with his life is what he decides to do with his life. And it doesn't alleviate the worry, but it did get me to the point where I understood that, or I developed a perspective, that's a better way of saying it, is that every person that we have a relationship with in this world, we're going to lose at some point, right? And that's life. So we can, I'm sorry, give me a second. Let me think for a second. This has nothing to do with the podcast I'm thinking about. Is it worth the risk to? Is it worth the risk to fucking be crazy?
Mm-hmm.
I imagine you would probably say no, but it's the hard part. I can't lose on camera in front of all these people. You do that should be pretty fucked up of you.
So there's a general sense of pain of seeing other people that you love get hurt by their own mistake.
No, that's not where I was going with that at all. Sorry. Fuck. There's two. Let's see. Yep. Fucking, I don't care. Nah, that doesn't work. But, all right, fuck it. So, I say that to say, what are you looking like that for? Like, is that not exciting? Like, what the fuck is he doing?
Yeah. What's going on? I'm so confused.
I don't know what the fuck to tell you, bro. All right. So anyway, going into saying we're going to lose everybody that we love. And if we're going to lose everybody that we love, then I think that we can take one of two approaches. We can say, I'm going to try and do everything I can to hold on to this person, even if it's at the quote unquote expense of our relationship. Right? Because I have to make sure that they do the right thing. I have to make sure he doesn't jeopardize this. I have to make sure whatever, in tough love. And I owe it to them to be open and honest and all these other things, right? Excuse me. Or the approach that I've come to take with people that I care about is let go and let God. And it really is letting go. It's, hey, listen, like, this is my thought process on it, specifically when asked, right? And if someone asks you for advice, that's different. But if there's someone who I care about and I believe that they're being reckless, then it's not that I won't say anything, but I understand they're doing it for a reason and it's their life to live. They have the decisions to make. And if I try to offer some measure of advice or whatever you want to call it, and it's not received well, then I will typically back off due to the fact that I understand that if I continue to push somebody, then like I may jeopardize the relationship with them and lose them. And yeah, and I would rather maybe it's wrong, right? But to a certain extent, I would rather have a really good 10-year relationship with somebody than a really terrible 40 relationship with somebody that I love, if that makes sense.
Is that one of the problems with being someone who cares about other people? Is that you don't want someone to go through the same pains that you went through?
I think that's life, generally speaking, for most people. You don't want people to go through the bullshit that you had to go through.
Yeah.
But it happens. And unfortunately, there's not much you can do about it in a lot of cases. So, yeah.
Do you treat yourself the same way?
No, you good. Good.
Do you treat yourself the same way you treat other people?
How do you mean?
The amount of caring and time that you want to put into helping other people, do you put that same amount of care and time into yourself? I mean, outside of working out and such.
I don't know how much time what gives you the impression I put a whole bunch of time and care into people? Out of curiosity.
You seem like the kind of person who cares enough that when someone's in a certain situation that you'll put a certain amount of information to them, but also hold back when it's not necessary. And I don't know, I was curious as to if that was also the same way you treat yourself.
Interesting question. Generally speaking, I treat myself, I'm probably harder on myself than I am with most people. I'm more honest with myself than I am with anybody for obvious reasons. And no, probably not. No, when I am in a situation where I understand something needs to be fixed, then I will typically do my due diligence to fix it. But also we're talking about something like I'm with myself literally 24/7, 365 times 40 and a half at this point. So it's not as obvious sometimes where I can just look at somebody and listen to them talk and be like, hey, this is a solution that you may want to try. This will work for you. And then also there's a way of offering solutions to people where it's not that you simplify it, but it's that you state it and you understand what comes with it. That's it's a yeoman's effort, if you will. It requires one, but
It's actually going to tie that off. How do you know when to be honest with yourself?
I'm always honest with myself.
You never find a friction point where being honest with yourself hurts more than...
Give a fuck if it hurts. Like it's myself. Like why? Like I don't get the point of lying to me. You know, it's just like so. No, I don't suffer from being dishonest with myself.
What kind of person do you want to be?
What type of person do I want to be?
Yeah.
Say one that brings value to most situations or to any situation I'm in.
Okay.
That I place myself in, if that makes sense. One that's seen as generally more positive and generally more helpful than not in a lot of circumstances.
Was there any time when you weren't able to provide value, but you wanted to?
When I was not able to provide value?
Yeah. Kind of like the conflict of I want to be able to help because I know so much, but also the humility that I don't know enough, so I don't want to do more damage than good.
I wouldn't consider that a conflict in most cases. I don't have a problem telling people I'm not the best one qualified to help you in this area. Mm-hmm. And I've never had a conflict with that. I think there are places where I have had conflicts where one could say that I have information and I know the person's not going to be receptive to it. So therefore, I know all these things, but I can't bring value because it's not going to be received. That's been more the case than I want to bring value, but I don't think that whatever as you just said so articulately.
How do you know when someone's not receptive?
I mean, there's plenty of ways. Body language,
tone of voice, eye contact, things like that.
I don't think eye contact. I don't pay nearly as much attention to eye contact as a lot of people do. I know to some people that's to like, eye contact. Like he's not making eye contact with me. He's disingenuous. He's this, he's that. I don't think it's nearly that serious in a lot of cases. I think it's just some people are uncomfortable with it. It's
yeah. Do you find I know there was something that I heard that people that like when men have eye contact, it's intimate. Like not having a prolonged amount of eye contact.
Well, it can be intimate. So I typically make it a point to make eye contact with most people when I'm speaking to them. As a matter of fact, I would be making eye contact with you right now, except for I'm trying to study this board and not have you get away with nefarious bullshit. Which you probably will, if I'm being perfectly honest. Like the horns of dilemma are here. You got that punk ass knight there that's just laying in wait. And I don't appreciate it. I don't think I deserve it either.
You would say you're someone who understands yourself very well, right?
I believe so.
Was there any time when you had a false identity?
Mm-hmm.
Was there any point in your life where you weren't secure with who you are?
Of course.
How did you get out of that?
Time, maturity. Just understood that, I'm me. This is what's valuable. This is what's not. This is what I can change. This is what I can't. And yeah. And there's still I'm pretty sure there's still certain times when I come up and I'm like, I'm not 100% confident or comfortable with certain aspects of myself, but it kind of is what it is.
Yeah, it's one of my problems. I always try to figure out who I want to be, but at the same time, once I get there, I'm not comfortable with the one I wanted to be.
Yeah. But you're also young.
I hear that a lot. That people say, "Oh, you're young. You're still
fucking young."
I know, but it's like, what? Why can't I understand it now? It's like, what's stopping?
Because for you, then life has been a very long road. You've been alive for 21 years, right? So for you, 21 years seems like fuck. This is an eternity. For me, I'm like shit. 21 years. That was a long fucking time ago. So it's a matter of perspective to a certain extent, but that doesn't make it any less valid. There's a reason why people are saying things like you're young. It's because you're young. When you're 21, you have so much ahead of you. Like for instance, like with Muay Thai, I didn't start Muay Thai until I was 24. So 3 years removed from where you are right now, I started the thing that I'm arguably better at than almost anything else I do.
What got you into Muay Thai?
I was born in undergrad. I was in the Marine Corps. A friend of mine was a Marine Corps martial arts instructor for whatever the fuck that is, for whatever fuck good that is, rather. And he was teaching, and we started watching UFC fights. And I've never been somebody who's really big on just merely spectating about things. So I decided that I would try it. And I did. I got my ass beat badly.
Yeah. What kept you going back?
I've never been deterred by getting my ass whooped. And also to the point of being self-aware or aware. Like I got in a lot of fights when I was younger. And got to the point where I started winning the majority of them, if you would, winning street fights, whatever the case may be, right? But at the time when I started, I was in the powerlifting. I had been in the Marine Corps for the better part of 5.5 years, maybe closer to 6 or so. Like you couldn't tell me I couldn't whoop most people's asses, right? And then this 140-pound, I think it was a brown belt in Jiu-Jitsu, a black belt in Judo.
Judo.
Yeah. Yeah, his name was Marius, and I rolled with this dude. I think it was a 6-minute round. I think he pretzeled me up probably 7 times in 6 minutes. And I was like, oh shit, I don't know how to fight. And then while I was getting choked out, then I look at the ring and I see people punching and kicking one another. I was like, well, odds are I don't know how to do that either. Yeah. And so I was like, all right, well, let me learn both. So I did.
Would you call yourself a fighter?
So I am a pacifist who is capable of doing great bodily harm to anyone that, or not anyone, but most people that cross a certain boundary, and yeah, put it like that, right? But I don't like hurting people. I do love fighting. So
do you like fighting for the art of it?
I love the expression. I love the art. I love what my body's capable of. It's adult recess to me at that point, right? Like you see me in the gym, I'm fucking maniacal and like screaming at the top of my lungs, and it's fun. It's just fun, but also it's a game. It's like, this is what I have become capable of after all these years, right? Like I remember when I believe I was 11 or 12, and there was, I forget which Tekken it was. It was the Tekken, I think it was Tekken 3 or 4. Do you recall that game?
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, so Tekken, they had this character named, I think it was Jin Kazama. He was the main character of the game, so it was Tekken 3, pretty sure. But he had his shirt off on the cover of a video game magazine, like buff abs. And I looked at my uncle and I showed him a picture of that. I was like, I want to look like that when I grow up. And he looked at me and he told me I couldn't. He said, that's going to take a lot of hard work. Right. So fast forward, like, and I'm not as ripped right now as I was, but there was a fucking time where I looked like that. Right. And then you talk about like things like, I used to do it. I brought it back last month, but the last Thursday or the last actual class of each month, and I would do like video game technique. So some dumb shit that you probably only see in a video game, I try and teach. And I think I got away from doing it because most people aren't athletic enough to do those stupid type of things. But it's fun. But like there's a lot of, I can't do everything obviously, but there's a lot of things I'm capable of doing that I never would have imagined, or I only would have imagined I would have been capable of doing, if that makes sense, back in the day. So that's pretty cool.
So everything really ties around your pursuit of becoming capable. Not a one sentence fits everything. Ish.
I enjoy being capable. I enjoy being like, there's a certain freedom of like, I'm not worried about much. I'm really not worried about much. Like I walk around, I see people who are bigger than me. I see people like, and don't get me wrong, I'm not disillusioned. I don't think that I can beat up multiple bodybuilders or anything like that. I'm not gonna, nor do I go start shit with people to like.
You don't have an ego complex.
Yeah, I don't. And it really does make you. It makes you really, really chill. Like I leave the gym, I don't want to fight anybody. I'm fucking cool. Like, dude, I'm tired. Like Bob just choked the shit out of me. Dave fucking did whatever he decided to do to me. Hani ankle locked me. Like Parker did some type of hate crime shit to me. It's just like, man, fuck, I'm tired, bro. You got James who fucking wound bared me. I couldn't get up. And then I have to do it. Then I go do Thai boxing, which is probably why I beat the Thai students up so much, honestly. It's just repressed anger.
Keep that for them. We don't need that.
It's just like, but anyway. So it's like, I just got choked out. And
how would you define repressed anger? Because you mentioned it before, and
I was bullshitting. I don't have much repressed anger.
Well, I know. Like, how
But
would you approach?
something where you internalize and you decide that you want to bring it out, or you decide to, or it comes out later, if that makes sense, as opposed to right there in that moment.
Okay. Because I've never had repressed anger. I've always just taken whatever it is and taken it for what it was or what it is. It's like, I'm not capable enough. Cool. I know there's probably a lot of people my age who just, they're angry. They want to prove themselves. It's like, who are you proving yourself to? I just don't understand that. It's like, was there a point when you were trying to prove yourself to someone? Or?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I was their age. And a little bit before, but yeah, of course.
Yeah.
This is very cliche at this point, but there's an expression that says something to the extent of women are born with their value and men have to develop it.
Yeah. There was something,
that.
just saw this on social media. There's the reason why marriage happens is because a man's value increases over time and a woman's value decreases over time.
I'm not going to parrot that phrase specifically now.
Oh, no. I'm meaning like kind of going what you say. It's like,
I didn't say woman's value.
no. I'm not
Directly at the camera. I did not state that a woman's value decreases over the course of time.
I was just like relating it to something.
Disagree. Fucking don't come for me. Anyway, no, I give it to you. to help.
I was just trying to say, I understand.
Yes. So anyway, fucking before we get like, I'm still trying to get canceled. I'm trying to be with somebody at some point.
Yeah.
And fucking, this is suboptimal. Anyway, but let me actually pay. No. So yes, as a man, then you get to the point where like you do feel like you need to. You feel like you need to prove your worth, show your worth, etc. And that's difficult to do. It takes time, right? Proves your value, whatever. And I do believe that. I believe to a certain extent is there. You know, and dating doesn't help, right? Because even as early as high school, like you meet girls who are freshmen and sophomores, and the majority of the people that they date are the juniors and seniors or somebody who's in college already. And it's just like, all right. And younger woman will talk about how, older men have more to offer for whatever reason. And that remains a constant. I'm not going to say indefinitely, but it can be a constant, and it can be very difficult for young men. So you do find yourself in a situation where you feel as though you have to like prove and show your value, so to speak, or develop your value.
Yeah. Would you agree with the phrase confidence is built through experience or through evidence?
I say the phrase confidence is built through hard work and refinement. So in other words, it would keep on harkening back to martial arts, right?
Well, that's fine.
Like, I am confident in my striking ability. The reason why I'm confident in my striking ability is because I've been striking for years and I keep striking with people. And over the course of time, then I've seen my level of efficiency with it go from, call it here to here or to wherever the fuck I am. And that's what builds that confidence. So I can walk into a gym and I can feel very, very confident that I can adequately defend myself. And if I need to, I can turn it up to a level that most people won't be able to match. But that's based off of the fact that I've done years and years and years of it, right? And I think that's a perfect analogy for how confidence is built in something. You continue doing it, you make your mistakes, you get better, you get to see the results of your work, and then before you know, you get to the point where you have competence to match your confidence, right? Right, and I think that's an important distinction, right? Like, you want to be confident about something, yes, but you also want to have competence coupled with your confidence. And if you don't have both, then, I mean, confidence can be empty.
Looking back the last 40 and a half years, were you trying to prove yourself to other people or prove yourself to yourself?
Probably more other people initially. At this point, like, I try and prove myself to myself. Like, so the whole working out as hard as I do and going as consistently as I do, then it's not even proving something to myself. It's just, I understand what I believe I'm capable of, and because I'm capable, therefore I shall do.
What about false confidence?
It exists. You talking about with me or
with people? Because you look like you don't have any problem with confidence, or not too much of a problem. That's like self-inflicted pain, that you're confident but you're not confident in the right things. How would you perceive people who have a false sense of confidence?
fucking idiots? No, fucking idiots. So are you familiar with the Dunning-Kruger effect?
Yeah.
It's
Just
very,
that. Okay.
it's very.
Do you want to just explain it just so
Well,
it makes you sound smart?
It makes me sound smart, moderately intelligent at best. Now, the Dunning-Kruger effect, from what I understand it to be, is basically people who have a natural proclivity to believe that they will be more effective or have more efficacy in a certain skill, usually physical, than they actually would. And that is based off of their lack of fuck did you do that? Lack of experience in it. That's interesting. It's not what I thought you were going to do. That's actually much better than what I thought you were going to do.
Better for you or better?
Better for me.
Oh.
I was fucking worried, man. I was like, shit, all right.
What are your thoughts on pursuing instant gratification versus delayed gratification?
When delayed gratification is going to get you something that's better than instant gratification that you are going for at that point in time, and then also when instant gratification is going to harm you more so than help you in the long run, right? So, and then also when you decide it's worth the trade-off, honestly. So that would be my coin answer on that.
Yeah. Do you have any stories about you? No.
Yes. No. No. Let me stop. Like, stupid example. Okay. Instant gratification versus delayed gratification. I want a nice 6-pack, right? And instant gratification, I want a chocolate chip cookie because I feel like I have had a very long day and I fucking hate my job. This is all hypothetical, of course. It really is hypothetical. It's more so in the past. Like, I don't hate my job right now. But either way, like, I want a 6-pack and I understand a chocolate chip cookie is not conducive to me getting a 6-pack. However, I just had a long fucking day. I hate my job and I'm ready to off myself and anyone who I am associated with. There we go. Instant gratification is, I want this fucking cookie, right? Delayed gratification is, I don't need this cookie because it's not conducive to my goal, right? And then there's a trade-off. How much is this cookie going to negatively impact me as far as my goal is concerned, right? How much is it going to set me back? And at this moment in time, do I really give a fuck, right? Is it worth it for me to forego the long haul of my delayed gratification, of my 6-pack, and the delay of it for this cookie that I want right now? And I think oftentimes what people may use to try to convince themselves is like, it's one cookie, right? Like, it's one fucking cookie. It's going to take me the better part of 6 weeks to 6 months to get myself to look the way that I want. What's one cookie going to do, right? But it's usually not just one cookie. It's usually one cookie today, and then one cookie tomorrow, and then one cookie. Yeah, exactly, right? And then next thing you know, it's just like, well, fuck, like, all these little slips end up being pretty big slips, and that's what ends up, fucking people over.
So you do things with the purpose in mind, that this has to have a purpose, both short term and long term?
No, I'm not nearly as, how would you say? I'm not nearly as structured as you think I am with everything, or with a lot of things in life. I think, like, and you're probably, I know you, like, we both know Dave, right? So
Dave's very structured,
extremely fucking structured, right? Like, fucking.
So you have more of a flexible mindset.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But with a structure to keep it up.
Yeah, there's a structure associated. I mean, I'm still structured, but there's levels. So there's certain things where people, I get asked often in dating, like, you seem like you're really intense or really insistent upon a lot of things. And my answer is usually something to the extent of I'm very insistent upon the things that I care about, right? But I don't care about that much, if that makes sense.
There's a few things that you care about.
Yeah, there's a few things I care about. There's other things I just don't give a fuck, right? Like, so in other words, let me get married tomorrow, and she's like, I want to paint the house. I want to paint all the walls in here bright pink. Fuck it, go ahead. Right? Or it's like
pink would be a really good color.
Yeah, I like pink actually.
Pink's a great color.
I should have wore a pink shirt.
Not like a neon pink. It has to be like a more
I
subtle.
don't give a
pink.
fuck what color she
Okay,
paints,
it's fine.
right? I don't care, right? Or if she's like, hey, I want to eat this, I want to cook this every day. I don't give a fuck, right? If I don't like it, I'll just get something else, right? Or if like it's just a lot of stuff I don't care about. Like I'm going out to eat with somebody, and my intent is I want to enjoy the company. I don't give a fuck what we eat, right? Like it doesn't matter to me, right? So those things don't matter. The things that do matter to me, like, yeah, that's what I like to put that's what I like to put effort into.
So what are the things that you do care about?
I care about my health, specifically aesthetically, but also overall health. Like I'm not just working out for the sake of wanting to look good. I do believe that the more muscle mass I have over the long haul, the healthier I'll be, and it'll help to stave off health issues. I believe it has already staved off health issues. As much sugar as I fucking intake, then I think that that's probably the only reason why I don't have diabetes already. And then aside from that, then yeah, I mean, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Why would you do that? Why? ¿Para qué? I said ¿para qué?
It's not a bad move.
I didn't say it was a bad move.
Okay.
I don't recall ever saying it was a bad move.
Just trying to get me to doubt myself.
How would I ever try and get you to doubt yourself?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out where to put everything there. I realized my rook wasn't protected by anything. So I was like, okay.
I was perfectly fine with what would have happened had you not done that. That would have absolutely been fucking awesome, really.
But I saw it last second. I was like, I can't do that.
Since you don't know how to play nice with others, I can do that.
I am playing reasonably. You were the last chess match I've ever had. And then before that, it was like a couple months before anything. What's that?
None of your fucking business, play games.
I don't like you.
It's like, look, he's defending himself. I don't like him. All right, so we were talking about.
I don't even remember.
Yeah. Okay.
Is there something you wanted to say? I like how like one similarity for both of us is like once chess is involved, everything else goes out the door.
Yeah, I believe this conversation would have flowed a lot. Like I'd have been much more articulate. I'm sitting here staring.
I saw a chessboard. I was like, I'm putting that in the shot. I don't care what happened. This looks beautiful.
It's just like fuck. It's so much pressure. Like I can't do that because he's gonna do that. I can't do that because he's gonna do that. Like this bitch, he's gonna do.
What's the one thing that you want to get most out of life?
Contentment.
Contentment. Okay.
Consistent. Stable contentment.
Is it just having peacefulness?
Peace, love, quality of life. I should say fulfillment and all that other stuff. And
yeah. The contentment kind of requires fulfillment. You can't be content without being fulfilled in some aspect of your life.
Yeah, that's the way I put it. Yeah.
Glass is half full or half empty. It's full. It's full. It just has air in it. I'm content. It is a solved problem. There's no argument. It's either this is the answer or that's the answer. What about the other option that both of them are the answer? I mean, I get people like to take sides and everything.
No, don't get me started on binary situations. Or
what's your viewpoint on binary situations?
Most situations, you are likely to miss a lot that is valuable on the other side if you just choose a side, right? So I'll use an example. We know a guy who's a really high level black belt, and he just does not like certain people, right? Just doesn't like certain people. And if you were to say, okay, he doesn't like certain people, so I'm just not going to pay any attention to anything that this other person does jiu-jitsu wise. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool, right? But there could be some very good jiu-jitsu out there that you miss because you just won't affiliate yourself with them because so-and-so doesn't like them. And I think it's similar in a sense, like just because there can be a lot that's suboptimal about somebody doesn't mean that you throw the baby out with the bathwater in that regard.
It's knowing when to separate the person from the personality from the craft.
And also, and that wasn't even my point necessarily with that as far as personality and craft, but although yes to that. But I think you can say there's two sides to the story. Okay. But we all got to a certain point based off of certain experiences that occurred for us, right?
So it's just knowing that people are not perfect.
Yeah, people aren't perfect. And also, I think I originally brought this up because it's no, see, I hate the bipartisan political system, right? And I think because, number one, I don't like groupthink. I don't like the herd mentality that a lot of people have naturally. And then on top of that, then I think that, for instance, you take Biden and Trump, right? Each party, a lot of their constituents, if you will make it seem as though they're the second coming of whomever, right? Which is clearly not the fucking case in either circumstance, right? And it's perfectly fine, right? But the fact that people lobby so hard and they're just like, no, this person is this and this person is that. Like, they're like, this person is mentally as sharp as he ever was. And it's just like, objectively speaking, brother, like, there's no way, right? And then they can be like, oh, this person's the most moral person in the world. And he's fucking, and it's just like, objectively speaking, there's no way, right? And that doesn't mean that neither candidate should have the job, right? It doesn't mean that they're not the right person. It doesn't mean that they're not the best fit for the country and for what's going to drive us forward, et cetera. It just means that from a standpoint of being realistic, then there are certain things about them that are not perfect. And I don't think there's anything wrong with acknowledging the fact that your candidate is not fucking perfect, right? So when you say this candidate is perfect and everything about this other candidate is evil or wrong or whatever, then you miss out on the opportunities of understanding that there is good on the other side. And there is something that can be valuable or bring added value, if you will, to the other side.
Does that have to do with we judge others by their actions and ourselves by our intentions?
I think some of it also has to do with a lot of people are just fucking hypocrites. How fucking annoying can I be? I can be pretty fucking annoying.
That's what I said to myself when we first started.
I think it's unnecessary.
Yep.
Pretty unnecessary, sir. You don't have to.
Yeah, no problem.
I wonder how much of this is going to be edited just due to awkward silence because we're fucking...
I didn't know what it would be like if I added something like a game to the podcast. And I realized it was probably a really bad idea. Looking back, probably shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, you made it a fucking competition. Fuck it. I'm just gonna go for it.
I was expecting something else, but I wasn't expecting that. All right, so while you're contemplating the state of the universe, what's your next question? So I can think about how I want to answer. Well, it was the last thing was we judge ourselves we judge others by their actions and ourselves by our intentions.
Yeah, sure. I think people are just fucking hypocrites.
Okay.
I think people are willing to excuse their actions based off of, well, it was just this, or their extenuating circumstances, or I'm not a bad person, I just made a bad decision.
People just not taking ownership for...
Yeah. But then when someone else gets in trouble, then none of those factors apply. Right. So we have this thing where it's like this hierarchy of sins, and like there's an expression, don't judge somebody because they sin differently than you do. Right. And there's also an expression that the people who judge you the most are only able to do so because their skeletons are still in their closet. So that's what I believe it is for the most part. And I don't think it's necessarily fair. And don't get me wrong, like there are certain things where, I mean, you show me a pedophile, I'll show you somebody I have zero empathy for, right? But there's a lot of things where it's just like, hey, man, shit happens. And like, if you really go into the circumstances associated with whatever the situation is, then it makes it really easy to understand how somebody got here, or at least it makes it understandable.
Where you don't feel weird, you feel guilty about.
at a certain point in my life, had I been able to do so and thought I would have gotten away with it, then or been sure that I could get away with it, then yeah, I probably would have. And at this point in my life, I wouldn't. And it has nothing to do with me getting away with it or not. It's just a matter of I've grown, my value system has developed, and I think if I recall correctly, we were talking about how people become better people over the course of time, and I think that was an example of that. To where, when you're younger, then you're more prone to abstain from certain activities due to the fact that it's prohibited and there will be consequences associated with it that are negative. And then as you age or develop, then you get to the point where it's just like, I'm not going to do that because it's not the right thing to do. And that's the point that, I guess it's ideal to get to. That makes sense.
Does that partially have to do, whether it's younger generation, older generation, that people don't feel guilty because they did something wrong, but rather because they got caught?
I think the consequences of being caught can make people feel guilty.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Because it makes you
reflect.
Yeah, reflect and be like, fuck, this is horrible. And shit, if this is happening to me, then it had to have been really bad or whatever. But I think it's a mixture. I don't think it's one or the other. Yeah, there's sometimes when people are truly penitent about something that they did. And then there are other times when the only reason why they're sorry is because they got caught. So they're not really sorry. They're sorry about the consequences, not sorry about the actions. And then I would say there are times when like the consequences or like time to reflect can give them reason to pause and they actually think like, fuck, I shouldn't have done that.
And does that have to do with people rationalize illogical behavior?
Rationalizing logical or illogical behavior, sir?
I know there's one saying that most people want their emotional mind to approve of their logical decision.
I think we try to rationalize things that we want to do. I think that's natural for humans. I don't know if we do a good job of it, right? But we try.
That has to do, that's kind of like experience, realizing that the mistakes that you didn't want to make or shouldn't have made, now you're not just going to make it again because you already learned that the consequences.
Ideally.
Do you usually focus on what people say or what they do?
Do.
Okay.
I don't give a fuck what people say.
Why is that?
Because it's just what they say. Like I was in a relationship one time when this young lady did something that was, at least for what we verbalized to one another, she should not have done. Right. And I made my displeasure known, and over the course of whatever time, then she decided that she wanted to still be together, and she could tell that I was emotionally far gone, if you will.
You already detached from that relationship?
To a certain, I was detaching. Yeah, it's not as simple as I'm making it sound, right? But I was detaching.
It's a process.
Yeah. And she didn't want me to. So she wrote a very long and detailed letter basically apologizing and trying to salvage what she could as far as my heart and whatever the case may be. Right. Okay, cool. Great. Like maybe a week or so later, we get into a conflict, and it may have something to do with the fact that I'm not fully healed because of whatever it was that I experienced, but we get into some type of a conflict, and then she basically, whether she meant to or not, justified her actions. So to me, it's like, all right, well, you just said that you were sorry, right? And you made it seem as though you understood that this shouldn't have happened. But then not even a couple of days later, a week later, maybe, then you've now shown me that in actuality, that's bullshit. You were not sorry. You're not repentant for what you did. You're sorry about the fact that there are there are consequences associated with it that you don't want to deal with. So therefore, yeah. And so to that point, right? Like you can say whatever the fuck you want. I don't care about the lip service, if you will. I care about the actions.
How long did it take for you to realize it, to be able to let go of those kind of relationships faster? Did it take you like a month or two, or
how long does it take me now?
Or maybe at the time, and how has it progressed?
Probably a year, maybe two. I don't know. I've been in some toxic relationships for a while, right? At this point, I I basically leave either immediately, or if for some reason there's a situation where I cannot leave immediately, I put measures into place to where I will be able to. I start planning my exit. So pretty quickly.
Does that have to be that not everyone want to be emotionally honest? That they can't, or be honest with themselves?
I think it's a lack of accountability. A lot of people don't have they expect it, but they're not able to really deliver mutual accountability.
So it just has to do with expectations. People don't expect them. They expect something from others, but they don't expect themselves to provide that same thing.
They're not okay with being held to the same standard.
Okay.
As other people are.
And why is it so hard to find people like that?
You're asking me, but who am I supposed to ask? No, I forget what book I got that from. Nah, not really. I'm thinking I should be able to Google that. It was a series that I recently read, I think, within the last 6 months at least. The question, I do. It was Yaron Aurelius, I believe, from Cradle by Will White. It's an amazing book series. He's an amazing author, like one of my favorite progressive fantasy series of all time. All right. So anyway, your question was, is that
why is it so hard to find people who want to take accountability for their actions? Not just need to, but want to.
A lot to do with the way that society normalizes certain behaviors from certain people. So if you're in a group if you're in a certain classification where it's acceptable for you to react to your problems a certain way and not do this or not do that or not have to worry about that or not be held accountable, then it makes it easier for you to be, to have that approach. And then otherwise, I think accountability can be difficult. Like it's not easy to understand that you are the problem or you're the reason why something didn't happen the way that you wanted it to.
So it just has to do with let people be the way that they are. Don't expect too much out of someone. Then they're willing to.
No. I don't think that you should not expect something, specifically in the context of a partnership or a relationship that you're heavily investing in. Like, why would you put yourself in a situation where you can't have any expectations? I think that's a recipe for disaster at best. So I think you should have those expectations. I think that you should just understand that, those expectations are difficult to meet, right? And you need to do your due diligence as far as making sure that you've selected the right partner.
What would be your ideal woman?
Oh, you can't ask me that, and you can't ask me that on a podcast, bro. Like, because I can't. Because if she's not,
okay. Clear that question. What are ideal qualities that you look for in someone?
Hold on. Let me recompose myself.
Because there is a possibility you might go on the other side.
I'm heterosexual. I don't enjoy other men touching me, wrapping their legs around me, or making eye contact with them, or screaming while they're doing something, unless it's in the context of jiu-jitsu. Anyway, dude, we do the gayest shit in the world, man. Like, it really is. Like, I was on a date not that long ago, and I was explaining it to her, and she didn't. And I was like, "There's a position called the guard, and this is like you're literally his legs are wrapped."
What's 3 ideal qualities that you look for in a potential mate? And not checkmate, because I already know I'm very close to that.
You're not as close as you. You're not as close as I like. Let me put it like that.
Well, you could just stalemate it, just go back and forth.
That'd be bullshit. I'm not going to.
Also, actually, based on this, I'm going to ask you a different question instead of like screw the women. A better question. This is an interesting situation because, well, I'm not. There's a lot of things around me that doesn't necessarily mean that I will get checkmated. There is pressure, possibility of it, despite all the contingencies. So how do you deal with pressure when you're in a stressful situation, but you have everything you need?
It depends on what the context is. There are some times when I am confident that I have everything I need, and that's a good place to be. And then there are other times when we can say that I understand that there are very few times in life when things get better if I panic. Period. There's very few times when me getting completely emotional about something, or there are very few times when like a loss of control
Results in
something positive.
Wow, interesting.
Very few times.
Yeah, never.
Check.
What's one of those examples?
An example of when stuff gets better because I fucking panic. I can't think of one. I just didn't say there's never because I didn't want to be absolute, but I'm trying to think of a time when something's better because I panicked.
Someone somewhere on the internet is going to be like, I know that one time. And it's our entire like Reddit page all about it.
Life doesn't get better because you panic. I remember, so there was a time I was at work and I was going through a bad breakup, right? And I was really like depressed and stressed out and all this other shit. And I hadn't been sleeping well. And my boss came down, and it was an important meeting, and he was talking to me, and I was just mired in like, my emotions or whatever. And I remember having a moment where I like did the whole self-talk thing, and I was like, you're a fucking Marine officer. Like, I was like, bro, fucking get over it. Get over it, and not get over it as in like it doesn't exist, but in this moment, do what the fuck you need to do in order to get through the situation. So put that shit to the side and sack up and deal with what you need to do. So there are times like that. You know, there are times like that where it's just like I don't give myself a choice. And I think if you would ask me how I persevere through most things that I persevere through, then number one is not panicking. Number two is I tell myself I don't have a choice, period. Right? So if I don't have a choice, then it's like my options are I die or I continue on. So which one are we doing? Not dying. So fuck it, continue.
So you're very good at detaching from something.
Let's say I'm good at it. No. But
I'm not saying 100% detaching, but be able to put something aside as like, I gotta do something. This will be later when I'm able to control my thoughts better.
I'm good at distracting myself. So that's a measure of what you just described, is distracting myself. But I think it really is, I would more so describe it as understanding that this, although this may not be something I want to deal with, this is something I'm going to deal with. I just have to deal with. Mm-hmm. So since I have to deal with this, then deal with it.
Yeah.
That was so mean of you, sir. Well, you went down there. You committed. Bro, you came all the way down here.
You to figure out whether or not I want to commit.
You walked her all the way down here. Like you can't. I mean, you can, but God.
Now that I've made the commitment, do I want to keep it?
Story of. That's the question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Question from men everywhere. I made the commitment.
That's the thing about chess. It's like, I mean, unless you've done thousands and thousands of games.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say thousands some other shit. I'm like, what?
Applies to life. It's like, if you're not familiar exactly how everything is and haven't seen most moves, and it's just a matter of whether or not that risk was a calculated risk or just a stupid risk.
Yeah.
You mother trucker. I think I know what you're doing, but I don't like it. It's a nice thing about chess. It's like my first reaction right now is I hope you blunder something, but only because that'll suffice for my lack of skill in chess. That makes sense.
It makes sense. I mean, this is the longest game I've played in years.
Well, I also take way too much time trying to make sure I do both podcast and chess.
Oh, if you review the results and you're like, hey, we weren't as flowy as we should have.
No.
Then we can always do it again later.
What I like about this episode over other ones that there's one thing tying everything together, and that's the chess game. Mm-hmm. It's like partially there's the distraction, but also it's just authentic. Like I don't regret running the board. I just wish I could be a little bit better at asking questions. And I like how your knight is like quietly judging my knight. My knight is quietly judging your queen.
No, it's just like,
Well, technically, my knight is judging your knight because your knight can't see my knight because horses can't see you directly in front of them. But that's just being technical.
I enjoy pedantic perspectives, but
Play the game.
I didn't say that. I feel good about this one now.
The game?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, now, obviously. Not like a couple minutes ago.
No, like 20 minutes ago, I was like, fuck. But pressure, right? Pressure. It is just like, all right, like, how do you deal with pressure?
Pressure and anticipation.
Yeah.
And the want for an ideal outcome. Even if it's not the one that...
I just don't want to lose in public, man. I don't know how many fucking people you're going to have watching this shit. But I was just like...
Given your position, unless you do like one really stupid blunder, like moving your queen right in front of my rook.
Yeah. Like I did that other game?
Yep.
Yeah.
just a reenactment.
Bad memory. No.
Just a reenactment. You went away.
No. I went. Yeah.
I laughed for a solid like 30 seconds. It was hilarious because you had a pretty good position, but
It was over, and I was like, and as soon as I did it, I was like, oh no.
And then you were like, I resign.
yeah. It's like, hey, fuck, I don't want to play anymore.
I'm glad I don't bleep out swear words anymore because this would be a pain in the butt.
Oh, I am actually capable of having a prolonged conversation. Yeah,
wow,
I can. You don't believe it?
It doesn't matter. There's already been like
nobody believes that I can be
human.
Yeah, believe it or not.
Civil?
So this is
civility.
I was a Sunday school teacher for 3 years.
You were those poor kids.
To a certain extent, yeah, but that's not the point. The point is, like, I'm quite capable of speaking without using profanity and articulating myself well enough.
You can articulate yourself?
I can.
Wow.
I don't know. It's amazing that black people can do that these days. It's fucking, I'm telling you, man. You got so. It's a different world.
Yep.
Different time.
Yep. What would you have told yourself 20 years ago?
Don't date this person. Anyway, let me stop.
Well, except for the obvious.
Let me stop.
Well, like
I don't know, man.
If
I really don't know.
20-year-old you was sitting right here, what would you want to tell him?
I don't know. It's hard, right? Because you're familiar with the butterfly effect, right? So I could tell myself all the best advice. I could go into specifics to a certain extent. Like outside of saying buy stock in this or fucking bet on this fight.
Bitcoin was actually a great idea.
Bet on this fight. Is this person going to lose in 14 seconds? And
well, assuming that nothing would have changed in your life, but you just wanted to say something.
What would be the point of going back and telling myself anything if nothing changes?
Well, it's also the point of, you said earlier, if people who don't want to accept your advice.
Hmm.
But if you, that people don't want to, that some people will get.
Yeah, but we're talking about the hypothetical version of me from the past.
I know, but hypothetically.
Fuck that. Like, I'm not going to not be overbearing with myself. I slapped the shit out of myself if I went back and he said something. Like, literally. As a matter of fact, if I were to go back in time and talk to 20-year-old me, I'd probably start off with slapping the shit out of me and be like, shut up and listen. So, like, no conversation. I'd slap the shit out of myself, and then I would attack myself. And since I'm so much better trained now, I just fucking put myself in get side control or like,
So you would show how much... You would show how capable you are now.
It's not about proving how capable I am. It's about putting myself in a situation where it's just like, you're going to listen to me. Like, okay, so this brings this kind of draws back to the question you asked earlier about, like, you said something to the extent of like, am I more forgiving of myself than others or something to that extent? Like, no. Like, I am much harder on myself, right? Like, so this would be an example of me being much harder on myself. Like, if I were to meet a young man right now who's your age and I'm talking to him, I'd be upbeat and somewhat upbeat. Like, I could be cynical too, ask some of the Thai students. But generally speaking, like, there's a modicum of respect and whatever. Talking to myself, I'd be like, don't you fucking ever do this, right? Or don't you do this or do that, whatever. And I'm being a little bit dramatic, playfully, but excuse me, generally speaking, I'll make sure that I understand certain, we call it principles.
Would you say you're a very competitive guy?
I'm very competitive when challenged. Okay. And when I'm competent about what I'm being challenged in. But I'm not competitive for the sake of being competitive.
If you could take back one thing in your life, there's like one time you could look back, you could go back to that scenario and you could have done something differently. What would have it been?
Probably not something I'm going to say on the podcast. I would say the night that you beat me, then I would have taken that back. Nah. There's plenty of things I would go back and, I don't know, plenty of things. There are things I would go back and if I could change in that instant and then jump back, right? But what I can say is there's not a moment in my life where I've made such a mistake to where I think it's worth going back and reliving all the years again. Because I would, again, fuck some other shit up, right? So yeah, there's definitely some things, man. Like I can think of times when I've said things or I've hurt people or I've just had perspectives that were off. I can think of relationships that I shouldn't have been in and they ended up being, we'll say, doing more harm than good. I can think of times when I've said things to people that I simply should not have that cause a lot of harm as well.
Yeah.
I accept these conditions.
I forgot that was a thing.
Accepting conditions?
No, I forgot my night was right next to your rug. I was just like,
I accept those conditions too.
Yep. The possibility of me winning has gone down to 0.
Not 0.
Considering my pawns cannot advance and my rook is...
I mean, I could move my king right here and you could put your rook there and it's checkmate.
No, it wouldn't.
Oh, sorry. I could move my king right here. I can move my rook offline. And you can put your rook right here.
You could ruin the entire possibility of that happening because I ain't got no diagonals.
No, you don't.
Nope.
It's a good place to be in.
Yep. You could literally just get your rook and start side swiping all my pawns. And boom.
I could do that.
And then slowly advance your pawns up to get your queen back.
Do all those things.
2 pawns up and you get it. You know that one thing that could just ruin my entire possibility? Yeah, let me go do that. Gosh, it's such a difficult decision. You need me to find Mo.
I am satisfied that this game got caught on camera too, though. So,
except for the possibility that you could have lost.
yeah. I was like,
hey, I'm glad it.
Great risk, great reward. I won. Yeah. Fuck it.
No, not my pawn.
Check.
Oh. No.
Check.
Oh boy.
Only one at a time.
Where do I go? Gosh, it's such a difficult decision.
I know, right?
I don't know what I should do. Maybe.
I know. A1C1, A1C1, A1C1. I B2.
Yeah. Well. Hey, I have
A, B,
options.
C, A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
He knows the alphabet.
There we go. There we go, sir. Okay.
Yep.
That was a long game.
No.
Wrong side.